Negro off the census report on the 28th of March, 2024. You kept getting up, being proud to say Black American and African American. But you persons were ungrateful. You didn't care enough to fight to save Negro. And God don't reward ungratefulness. I fully understand that y'all are attached to the history of Black power and Black pride, but that's separate. Y'all have conflated it again. Y'all have conflated the two. Black pride and Black power is separate from somebody having an ethnicity as Black American. But again, you lying people have conflated it together. And that's why God delivered your just due. When you are ungrateful, God is going to deliver your just due. We all get it constantly in our life. We all have experienced just due. And we're going to continue to experience just due as long as we're breathing. And you folks have gotten a fat zero for the past 40 years trying to get reparations under these made-up definitions and these made-up terms. It's only one term that was harmed in America by Negro slavery, and that is Negro slavery, Negro. And y'all just going to have to face that reality, or you can just keep on running around here sounding like fools. Because from what is very clear, I've talked to some folks who explained it that you have to be a nation. Well, I'm not quite sure how that get accomplished other than what has been documented that was stated by L.B. Johnson. But one thing is very clear. America documented Negro slavery because they were so proud of it. That's the only thing that gives Negroes any rights in this country, any rights, any human rights, any self-respect, anything. That's why they had to rescind Special Field Order 15. Once again, you persons didn't want to hear that because y'all was listening to those Native Americans conflate their claim with the Negro claim. You were listening to those persons who were trying to conflate their claim of harm with the Negro claim of harm. And it should have never been conflated together. It should have never been conflated together because it was three different populations on this earth at that time during those 246 years. I'm going to say it again. It was three, let's count it, 1, 2, 3, different populations in existence at the same time, and they claims should have never been conflated together. Because America know good and darn well they never documented enslaving anyone identifying as Black American. It's not recorded anywhere. It's not recorded anywhere. And seeing as how you folks were too good to identify as Negro because you felt it was outdated, it was offensive, God decided to reward you put you into a racial group in Africa, and it is similar to that word called tetter. You see how that works? When you're ungrateful, when you're low down and ungrateful, God makes sure He take care of you. God makes sure you spend 40 years getting a fat zero when you simply all you had to do was stand on Negro and get the claim across the finish line, then go back to self-identifying. But you couldn't do that. That was asking you brain dead folks too much. You just wouldn't do that. So now you have 40 years of failure. 40 years of failure. It's just unbelievable. But y'all folks have been giving up, especially Big Chief C.R. the Great. He has been determined to try to paint the narrative that Negroes got reclassified to Negro. Oh no, C.R. the Great, there's a DNA test out there for Negro. I want you to, what is your DNA test that proves what you're saying out your mouth? I want to see that DNA test. I want proof of your lying narrative. If you cannot show proof of your lying narrative, then I know it's a lying narrative. But Y'all didn't know that there was a DNA test for Negro when y'all was running around here lying? Y'all didn't know that. But it's true. It's true. There's a DNA test for Negro bloodline. And there's a Negro land over there. Do y'all think there's going to be a landmass called Negro land, and there's not going to be any Negro people walking the face of the earth? Do that really make logical sense to you? I just need for folks to answer that question. There's a whole landmass called Negro land, and so you're supposed to convince folks that no human beings ever habitated that landmass? Y'all can't be serious. Y'all really cannot be serious. Y'all convince a lot of folks of that lie. Y'all are really good at convincing some people to swallow that lie. But my mother didn't raise no brain dead child. She didn't raise any brain dead children. It was 7 of us, and not one of us are brain dead. My mother made sure that I think she would have gotten us taken us to get help if she thought we were brain dead. She clearly knew her 7 children were functioning with a brain. They were critical thinkers. It was a requirement in the household. It was just a downright requirement because we were constantly challenging each other. I mean, you wouldn't last long if you did not have critical thinking. I mean, from the time you was 8, 9, 10 years old. It was just that way. That's all I remember. I just remember, I clearly have a memory of that. There's a lot of things that I have forgotten in my memory, but I clearly remember that part. I clearly remember it like it was yesterday. So, y'all folks are getting what you deserve. I'm just here to tell you. You folks are getting what you deserve because you were too ungrateful to identify as Negro. You were too ungrateful to fight for Negro when the OMB gave you 3 days to call in and tell the OMB how you wanted to identify. The OMB read off to you for 3 straight days. They read to you. They said, I want to remove Negro. And do you know you folks sat there and listened to that OMB panel read to you why they wanted to remove Negro? And as soon as you got your 2 minutes to talk, you told the OMB you wanted to be Black American. You told the OMB you wanted to be African American. You told the OMB you wanted to be ADOS. You told the OMB that you wanted to be FBA. You told the OMB that you wanted to be Freeman. So why are you crying today? I would like to understand why you ungrateful human beings are crying today. You had your opportunity to shove down the throat of the OMB your ancestors' sacrifice, and it was more important for you to self-identify. So you got some gall. Each of you have some gall when you said out your own mouth and no one had a gun to your head. You had your opportunity to tell the OMB, I am going to shove Negro down your throat, OMB, because you have the audacity to think you have the right to remove it. But none of that came out of your folks' mouth because it wasn't important enough to you. It wasn't important enough. But the Negroes are going to have the last laugh. The Negroes are going to have the last laugh for all you ungrateful human beings. And you folks need to get on an airplane. You need to book a plane ticket and get on an airplane and fly to Africa and try to find that racial group. Somebody needs to volunteer, seeing as how you folks love volunteering to have these events. You just had a Juneteenth event and I bet you my life on it, nobody mentioned Negro. You see how fake and pretense you folks are? When you be ungrateful, you get your reward. That's life. That's just plain old life. When you show ungratefulness, God is going to take care of you. And you folks don't believe that's the case. I think y'all just don't believe there's a higher power than your individual power in your individual body. I don't think y'all believe that. So keep on not believing it. Just keep right on believing it, and you're going to get your just due. You're going to continue to get your just due. Just keep right on telling yourself not to believe it. And you will continue to fail. You will continue to get a fat 0, because Negro is the only term that can get the Negro ancestors their debt paid. But y'all don't care about that. Y'all care more about the term Black American and African American and freeman and ADOS and FBA and Black American Negro freeman. Y'all making up new terms. There's no such thing as Black American Negro freeman. Somebody made it up. And y'all are on these apps harming other young people with that when you say that, so they're gonna grow up confused. Y'all think y'all saying something, but only just imagine if young people are listening in the audience. If they are young people listening in the audience, they are going to be more confused because you people keep coming up with new terms anytime you feel like it. Now you got a new one called Black American Negro Freeman. When you know it's not recognized at the local, state, or federal level, but you continue to say it out your mouth day after day. And I just sit back and think, I wonder how many young people or other people are in the audience who are going to be confused because you persons are constantly saying out your mouth all these terms mean the same thing when you know you're lying. That's a bald-faced lie. They don't all mean the same thing. America don't recognize them meaning the same thing. And that don't seem to matter to y'all because y'all own self-interest and y'all own self-feel-good feeling means more than fighting for what is recognized at the local, state, and federal level. That don't matter to you, ungrateful human beings. Negro was in existence for over 300 years. Let's all say it together. Negro was the Negro ancestors' identity, ethnicity, race, all together in one. Because that's how America recognized it until they got into the 21st century or the 1900s and wanted to do a switcheroo. They wanted to wash that blood off of their hands. And so they knew they needed to get rid of Negro. Because they're not spending any energy trying to get rid of Black American. They're not spending any energy and time trying to get rid of African American. All you smart people should have knew a bell should have went off in your head. Why are they so bent and determined to get rid of Negro? It's not because you persons felt it was offensive or it was outdated. Y'all convinced yourself of that. And y'all fell right into their little agenda. Y'all fell right into their little trap. America wanted to wash the blood off of their hands. They wanted to insert Germans as being indentured servants during those 246 years. They wanted to insert Irish people as being indentured servants during those first 246 years. So y'all helped America be able to rewrite 246 years. Y'all done that. Y'all done that voluntarily. And they in the process of rewriting it. In about 5 years, if Negro is not saved, if you wake up in 5 years from today, it's going to be like Negro slavery never happened. They're going to have replaced it as indentured servant that took place, that built America, that built the wealth, that built the infrastructure. See how you folks have lost everything your ancestors fought and died for. You lost it. All because you wanted to self-identify. You lost all of that. And you persons, God is not going to reward that. All of you persons who learned the truth. Now, those persons who did not learn the truth, they don't have any fault. But all you persons who've been on Clubhouse, fan base, and Twitter land for the past 2 years, you knew the truth. You knew the truth when the OMB opened up that website for 75 days. You knew the truth when they gave you the opportunity to call in for 3 days. You knew the truth. And you allowed everything that your ancestors fought and died for to go down the drain because of your own self-interest, your own self-agenda. And God said, if your self-interest and your self-agenda is more important than those first 246 years, God said, I'm going to take care of you ungrateful people. I'm going to make you a racial group in Africa. You're not going to have an identity on earth because you were ungrateful. I'm going to keep repeating it. When you're ungrateful, you don't get rewarded. You had an opportunity to fight to save Negro for your ancestors Every one of those days that they slaved sun up to sundown, you had an opportunity to shove it down the OMB and America and the whole world's throat, and you passed up on it. You passed up on it because you didn't have enough backbone to understand that moment was bigger than any of us. There's those moments in life that are bigger than what you can imagine. And some people get to live through them, and some people never live to experience it. That time, that very moment, was bigger than all of us. And those of us who say it Negro out of our mouth, we clearly understood to a certain extent how big it was. But when the OMB removed Negro on the 28th of March, 2024, and you think back to that time frame, and you start to really grasp the reality, that moment was bigger than any moment that we had lived through. A moment like what our ancestors had went through. And some people get to have that opportunity to live through one of those moments. And you sorry human beings didn't recognize that because of your own self-interest, your own self-agenda, your own importance of self-identifying. That moment in time was a moment in time that each of us needed to recognize. Each of us needed to recognize that. And it didn't happen. It did not happen. And you persons, I'm going to say in closing, I'm going to jump off of here. You may have a second opportunity by the time 2026 rolls around. They plan on having a meeting in 2026. So between now and 2026, you need to be plastering Negro on everything that you print and say out your mouth. If you care about saving your ancestors' history, then you'll get busy doing that. I don't think y'all going to do it. I don't think you had a backbone to do it. But that meeting is going to take place in 2026. So between now and 2026, you need to be shoving Negro down America's throat. You need to be shoving Negro down the OMB. You need to be shoving Negro down the whole world's throat if you got the backbone. I don't think y'all folks have the backbone to do it. And that's why God is going to keep right on delivering you your just due. God is going to do that because Negroes are God's chosen people, not any people called Black Americans or any people called African Americans or any people called ADOS or any people called freedmen or any people called FBA. In the Bible, it's spelled out that Negroes are God's chosen people. Let's all say it together. Negro bloodline is God's chosen people, not anyone calling themselves Black American, African American, FBA, freedmen, and ADOS. You persons have removed yourself from God's chosen people. Y'all folks are batting a record here. You folks are really batting a record here. Because when the day comes and we stand before God, God's going to ask you why you felt you were too good to identify as Negro. What's going to be your answer? You were too good to identify as Negro. And then you're going to think that God is going to welcome you in as the chosen people because you chose to identify differently. Biology don't work that way, first of all. Biology don't work that way, first of all. Biology don't work that way, first of all. So if you ungrateful human beings are claiming you are descendants of Negroes and you are deserving of reparations, then if you are descendants of Negroes, that make you a Negro. Don't it? Oh, y'all thought y'all was going to be able to make up y'all little definition. Descendants of chattel slavery, you're going to make up your own definition. Descendants of chattel slavery, descendants of Black American, descendants of chattel slavery. You thought you was going to get that to fly in America, this evil country? This evil country, did y'all really convince yourself with that lie? If you really wanted to win your case, you used the very evidence that your enemy provided to you. The very evidence was Negro slavery. The term. That's the only one missing. Are y'all that slow and dumb? Oh, no, y'all not that slow and dumb. You're not that slow and dumb. You just care more about your own self-interest. You care more about your own self-agenda. You care more about your own self-identifying. And so now you're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it. You're going to pay for it by getting a fat zero. And America has done it one step further. They have made you a non-existent human being. I've been telling you persons on my last few podcasts, you're going to end up like Palestinians if you're not careful. You're playing with fire. You persons are playing with fire here. My paperwork says Negro. I don't know if that'll give me a fighting chance when it gets down to the nuts and bolts. At least I know I got some paperwork that say Negro. But you persons are playing with fire. You are getting a prelude of what's going on in Palestine. That's what the Jews have in store for all you persons who don't have an identity right now. Because these immigrants that you're picking on, they got an identity. Y'all better get y'all ducks in order. Because these immigrants, they safe. Let's just make it simple. All these immigrants are safe. They have all three. I'm going to repeat them again before I get off of here. They have a recognized ethnicity. Number 2, they have a recognized national origin. Number 3, they have a nation. You persons better stop playing with fire and stop lying to your people. You had best stop doing it because this is a matter of life and death now. Y'all are playing with fire. Y'all are playing with fire, and you need to stop doing it because you're going to pay a healthy price if you don't get that definition changed on the OMB. You persons had best start spending every waking moment to get that definition changed and stop lying to people. Because Negro is the only, if you are from a Negro bloodline, because I'm not on this broadcast claiming that everybody is Negro, but if you got the paperwork of tracing your family member back to the 1860 census report, if you have the ability to trace one family member back to being a part of slavery, then more than likely that one of your family member was one of those 4 million that was emancipated. I don't know. I have traced my one family member back to a plantation. I don't know what to tell you folks, but you are playing with fire. If you ain't got paperwork, if you do not have paperwork that traces back to one family member on the 1860 census report as being a slave, then I don't know what to tell you. But C.R. the Great can stop lying. Because like I said earlier, my DNA only has 1% indigenous. So I'm not the only walking human being that have the DNA test that show a small snippet of indigenous. Because see, they lie had to be proven. God was going to make sure of that. And like I said, C.R. the Great, Negro ancestors had nothing to do with your people deciding to stay behind and not go to one of those reservations. That's not my fault. That's not my mother's fault. That's not my grandfather's fault. That's not my great-great-grandfather's fault. You need to talk to your people and find out why they decided to stay behind and not go to one of those reservations. Because, see, I heard Sonny G explain that out of his own mouth. I'm not going by hearsay. I heard him explain it with my own 2 ears. That's not my fault. Your claim is separate. Your indigenous claim is separate from the Negro claim, and you persons have done great harm to damage the Negro ancestors' justice claim. Y'all have done enough damage. Okay? Be happy with that. You have done enough damage. The freedman has done enough damage. Go do y'all separate claims, because my paperwork don't say freedman. My paperwork don't say indigenous. My paperwork don't say freedman. My paperwork don't say indigenous. So I don't have anything to do with your claim. I don't have anything to do with your family tree. I don't have anything to do with your family relatives. I don't have anything to do with it. So don't waste any more time off of your life trying to paint that narrative, because it's just not going to fly. DNA is not going to support it. So if your lying narrative was true, my DNA test should have came back saying 10% indigenous or 20% indigenous or 30% indigenous. It did not come back saying that. And now that you persons know that there's a DNA test out there for Negro bloodline, y'all are really, really crying hard now, because y'all thought y'all was having a good old party dumping on Negro. I watched you folks have a good old party for well over a year and a half. Now y'all found out that there's really, really, really is a DNA test for the Negro bloodline. Negroes are going to have the last laugh. That's what happens when people lie. It always come back full circle. It always come back to bite you. If you stand on truth, you ain't got no worries. But when you stand on lies, they will come back around to bite you. And they will come back around and your lies will be proven to be a lie. So it's just advisable to stand on truth. And if you don't know the truth, don't say anything. Just keep on doing your research until you find out what you're searching for. But don't get on a public app and paint lying narratives, because it's going to be somebody out there is going to do the research and prove you a liar. It's just going to happen, especially with the internet being invented. I wouldn't embarrass myself like that. It was a time when you could lie and nobody could probably research and prove it. But that time is long gone. People can prove that you lie now. They can search it in a matter of minutes. In a matter of minutes, they can search out your lie. They can be sitting in a Twitter space and hear you say something out your mouth, and then they can take a little, they can shimmy on over to Google or ChatGPT or all these other different things and research your lie and have a reply back in less than a few minutes. Less than a few minutes. So I don't know why y'all folks still running around here lying. You do know folks can research stuff now, don't you? You do know technology has advanced, that folks know how to research lies. Why are you still doing it? I guess you don't. See, my mom told me when I was young, she said people who lie, they get to a point where they start believing their own lies. And she never spoke more of the truth. She told me that when I was young, because I had a lying sister. I grew up with a lying sister. I detest liars. But my sister was a lying person. She could size you up in a blink of an eye. And she could tell some whoppers. She could really tell some whoppers. And I used to constantly get in battles with her because she lied all the time. She constantly lied. So my mom told me one day, she said, Aquilin, when you meet liars, a lying person will lie for so long, they will start believing they lies. And she was telling the truth. She was telling the truth. I tell you not. I kid you not. She told me the truth. And I started recognizing that as I grew up. Every time I would encounter a person like that, I will remember that conversation with my mother. Each and every time I encounter a notorious liar, that little recording would play in my head. Mom told you that you would meet persons like that, and I would just let it play in my head, and I'd go on about my merry business. So y'all folks gonna get what's coming to you. I'm going to say again, all you persons who are identifying as Black Americans and African Americans, you need to get on an airplane and fly to Africa and find that racial group. You need to force the OMB to change that definition, because as it stands right now, the immigrants have more rights than Black Americans and African Americans. That's why they've been getting all the benefits. That's why America has told them America is built, it's a nation of immigrants. See how all that connects? These diabolical human beings are so bold now. They don't gotten so bold because they say, well, we don't have to bite our tongue anymore. We can just say it out loud and proud that America is a nation of immigrants. See how that works? You are not recognized. You are somewhere over on the African continent in a racial group. But these immigrants are recognized on America's landmass ahead of you. All because you folks care more about self-identifying. You care more about that word called Black American and African American. And see, that's how it was more important than you fighting for your birthright. God delivered you. God delivered you your just due. That's what God decided to do. That you persons proved over and over again that you were ungrateful and too good to identify as Negro. And fight for the history of your ancestors, all those persons who sacrificed for 246 years. That was not important enough for you to fight for that. So God said, I'm going to pay them, I'm going to repay them for being ungrateful. And God did that. That's what God did. So if you don't want your children and grandkids and great-grandkids to go through 54 more years of harm, then you need to figure out which one is more important to you. You self-identifying or fighting for the history of your ancestors. You're going to have to make a difficult choice. All you ungrateful human beings who want so desperately to hold on to Black American and African American with a death grip, you got to decide. Each one of you have to decide, because if you're not careful, you are going to end up like the Palestinians. This is no time to be playing. This is no time to be playing and not having an identity. Once Israel gets done with Palestinians, you're going to be the next target. Don't you see the hate crime bill that they're trying to get passed? They're giving you all the signals. I don't know if you persons really apply critical thinking, that you have to read between the lines. Or any people. I will encounter a person like that, I will remember that conversation with my mother. Each and every time I encounter a notorious liar, that little recording would play in my head. Mom told you that you would meet persons like that, and I would just let it play in my head, and I'll go on about my merry business. So y'all folks gonna get what's coming to you. I'm going to say again, all you persons who are identifying as Black Americans and African Americans, you need to get on an airplane and fly to Africa and find that racial group. You need to force the OMB to change that definition. Because as it stands right now, the immigrants have more rights than Black Americans and African Americans. That's why they've been getting all the benefits. That's why America has told them America is built, it's a nation of immigrants. See how all that connects? These diabolical human beings are so bold now. They don't gotten so bold because they say, well, we don't have to bite our tongue anymore. We can just say it out loud and proud that America is a nation of immigrants. See how that works? You are not recognized. You are somewhere over on the African continent in a racial group. But these immigrants are recognized on America's landmass ahead of you. All because you folks care more about self-identifying. You care more about that word called Black American and African American. And seeing as how it was more important than you fighting for your birthright, God delivered you. God delivered you your just due. That's what God decided to do. That you persons proved over and over again that you were ungrateful and too good to identify as Negro, and fight for the history of your ancestors. All those persons who sacrificed for 246 years. That was not important enough for you to fight for that. So God said, I'm going to pay them. I'm going to repay them for being ungrateful. And God did that. That's what God did. So if you don't want your children and grandkids and great grandkids to go through 54 more years of harm, then you need to figure out which one is more important to you. You self-identifying or fighting for the history of your ancestors. You're going to have to make a difficult choice. All you ungrateful human beings who want so desperately to hold on to Black American and African American with a death grip, you got to decide. Each one of you have to decide, because if you're not careful, you are going to end up like the Palestinians. This is no time to be playing. This is no time to be playing and not having an identity. Once Israel gets done with Palestinian, you're going to be the next target. Don't you see the hate crime bill that they're trying to get passed? They're giving you all the signals. I don't know if you persons really apply critical thinking, that you have to read between the lines of different things that you learn about. It should have been a red flag when the Jews went to the Congress to get a hate crime bill. Each one of you should have understood that was a bullseye target on your back if you had brown skin or dark brown skin, or if you were a Negro descendant, because the Jews are really, really upset that Kyrie Irving exposed a lie that they're not God's chosen people. And so from that moment on, the Jews have lost their mind, and they want to make sure that all the Negroes are off this earth. And the OMB playing their part, America's playing their part, and the Jews are going to step in real soon and make it known that anyone that may possibly be a descendant of a Negro got to leave this world, because they want their lie to stay alive. They don't want that lie that they've been telling for a very, 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 very long time to be exposed all the way. So they got to get rid of that bloodline, that Negro bloodline, off the face of the earth. And so they have already taken. They started planning this diabolical plan in 1968. They don't just wake up and decide to start doing. They plan it 50 to 100 years in advance. See how that works? They've been planning this diabolical plan since 1968. You people are slow. You need to catch up. You need to catch up real fast. You need to catch up real fast. They've been planning this diabolical plan to erase Negro since 1968. You persons are slow. You had best catch up, or your children and grandkids are going to pay the price of you not getting your thinking right, correcting your brain cell. You're going to look in your children and grandkids' face one day, and they're going to ask you why you did not fight for your birthright, why you did not fight for a recognized ethnicity, that you cared more about a word called Black American and African American. You're going to have to explain that to your children and grandkids one day. That's not going to be a pleasant conversation, because it has not been a pleasant conversation for me to have with myself, to find out that America has harmed me for 54 years when they lumped me under the term Black American and African American. Since New Negro Republic explained that information, I have not had a pleasant conversation with myself since that day. That's more than half of my life. I'm 62. I'm 62 years old, but to learn that America has put something in place to harm me for 54, I can never fully digest that. So you persons who are calling yourself Black American, and African American had best pull your head out the sand and start. I don't know what to tell you, brain dead people anymore, because there are so many people trying their hardest to get you to understand this, and you just won't do it. And that's your personal choice. That's your personal choice, and you're gonna live with the consequences. That's your personal choice to decide how you feel, and understand that it's gonna have a ripple effect on your children and grandkids and great grandkids. Cause the facts are there. It's no denying it. All you simply have to do is go read the definition. You ain't got to believe anybody, what anyone is saying out their mouth. Go read the definition for yourself, and you're still gonna deny it. Most of you haven't even went and read the definition, but you're running around here still calling yourself Black American and African American, and you have not even went and read the definition. And that's your own fault, because it takes less than 5 minutes to go read the definition. Less than 5 minutes to go read the definition. So why are you not going to read it? Because you don't want to learn the truth. You don't want to accept the truth. Because there's no excuse for why you have not went and read that definition. Is it? Why? What is the excuse as to why you adults have not went and read that definition? It's just no excuse for it. So I'm getting off of here. I'm going back to enjoying my evening. Like I said, I just got off the road yesterday. I'm tired. I did not plan to do a broadcast tonight. But after seeing these sorry human beings with the person's name that I have in the title, and Big Chief CR the Great is still running around here trying to paint the narrative that Negroes got reclassified into Negroes. They really are indigenous. That may be his paperwork. That's not my paperwork. That's not my DNA. So I've already proven him again and again, him and Sonny G and y'all, all of them who claiming they got paperwork that make them indigenous. More power to you. I don't know. I don't know your paperwork. I know my paperwork. And my paperwork and my DNA says I have maybe 1% indigenous. So CR the Great, me and you are not from the same bloodline. That's okay. I'm not from Marcel for Congress bloodline either. And Naheem. We don't have the same paperwork. We're not from the same bloodline. And I'm thankful for that. I'm very thankful. I'm very, very thankful for that. But see, you persons wanted to put down Negro. Y'all, I spent over a year and a half listening to each of you put down Negro for well over a year and a half. And now it's going to turn out that Negro is a bloodline. It's a DNA test for it, and it's broken down as E1, write it down, E1B1A. Pastor Darby, who died, discovered it. I don't think that pastor was lying. I don't think Pastor Darby was the only human being that walked the earth that knew that information. So, looks like the Negroes are going to have the last laugh. And it looks like the Negroes are going to have the last laugh. Y'all had a good old party for well over a year and a half. You should be tired. You should be very tired. You've been partying. Y'all been having a good old celebration and a good old party, a good old celebration and a good old party for well over a year and a half. You must be tired. But the Negroes are going to have the last laugh. Y'all sleep on that. Y'all sleep on that. And y'all need to get a backbone and force the OMB to change that definition. And you need to get on an airplane and fly to Africa and find that racial group. Somebody better do that. Somebody needs to volunteer to get on an airplane and fly to Africa and try to find that racial group. Okay, folks, that's it for me. Thank you for popping in. Hope you're having a good evening. Hope you are safe and out of harm's way. I need to get my rest from getting off of that highway. So I am am going to rest this 62-year-old body, because I am, for the past 6 months, I've been grinding too hard. It's going to take me at least 3 to 6 months to rest up, because these past 6 months have been a killer. They have been really straining me. So I'm not gonna be hard-headed at 62. I got to stop being hard-headed. I've been pushing myself too hard these past 6 months, and I could have killed over. It just wasn't. Lord said it wasn't my time. I felt it though, and I really started to realize, Aquilin, you got to stop being hard-headed. You can't push yourself as hard as you used to. Oh, so it kind of hit me. It finally made me have to think hard about it, and I came to my senses to a certain extent. And I think I'm grateful for that recognition and understanding that I can't do what I used to could do, and I have to slow down. So I'm thankful that the Lord did not let me perish because I was hard-headed. So I'm reflecting on a lot right now. I'm reflecting on a lot that's happened in the past 6 months. And I'm going to do my best to hopefully learn some life lessons from those past 6 months. They were hard, but we made it through it. It was hard, but we made it through it. So I'm thankful for the good Lord. Y'all have a blessed night. And I pray that you stay out of harm's way. Stay alert and look out for each other. Stay alert and look out for each other. And I trust that the good Lord will allow us to live out our days the way it's meant to be. The blessings from the good Lord will ensure that we will have a chance to live out our days the way it's meant to be. Take care, folks. Take care.